Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I hope you're having a good one. For me, it is about 10 minutes past midnight here in beautiful Manhattan, New York City. The alarm, it's not an alarm, it's like a notification. There's like a bell or something. I live right next to a parking garage. And there's like a bell that they have that goes off. Just I don't know if it's like somebody leaving or somebody coming in. It's something. It's some alert thing, and it'll just sit there and ring on and on and on and on and on. And the first time I heard it, I was like, who the fuck has this like Nokia ass ringtone? And why is their phone ringing for so long? It's still ringing. I don't think it's picking up on the mic, but it's still going. It's been going for fucking forever. I don't know what it means. Anyway, we're here. We're podcasting, unfortunately, at midnight on a Sunday. It's Easter. Well, no, I guess technically now it's not Easter because it's past midnight. Fuck it. You know what? I've got the power of God and anime on my side. It's still Easter. That's what we're going with. Praise the Lord, everybody. Thank you so much for popping this in straight after service. I truly appreciate it. Majority of my crowd from the analytics that I've gotten back are mostly Christian, good Christian bakers for some reason. They love this shit. Can't get enough of it. Whatever. I'll keep feeding them. I'll do whatever grift I have to do. Shout out to all the grifters out there, man. I wish you know what? I wish I had the balls. I really truly do. I wish I had the balls to throw away every moral, every conviction I have to not just throw on a MAGA hat and feed idiots every night and get paid more money than any of us can ever imagine. Because here's the thing, that is always kind of an option. That option is the grift is always there. And a grift doesn't have to be something insane. It doesn't have to be like a crazy right wing thing or whatever. A grift can be whatever. You know what? It's a fucking cruise ship comedian. That's a grift. Guarantee you that's a grift. None of us start this, but going out. Yeah, no, I want to like go out and do shows for like grandpas and 8-year-olds. And do material for grandpas. None of us started saying that. That's a grift. But there's a lot of money to be made in that grift. So shout out to everybody out there who has the balls to do a grift, because I envy you and I respect you in a weird way. Speaking of throwing on a MAGA hat, so I was out of town for a couple weeks and I got back into New York. I landed at LaGuardia on Tuesday, and the second that we landed, we got out, which by the way, like that was the roughest fucking landing I have had on a plane so far. That was, I mean, we bounced, man. We like hit that shit. It was rough. Anyway, but the second that we landed, I looked to the right, we're all looking out the windows, and I looked to the right, and right there is fucking Donald Trump's plane. It says Trump right there on the side and everything. Ugliest fucking thing you've ever seen. And that was the day that he flew into New York for his court date, because the shit, all that, whatever. And I was like, no fucking way. I landed at LaGuardia and fuck, there was Trump's plane right there as we landed. And then I got home and found out that both of my stand-up shows this week had been canceled. So I just went down. It's fine. You know what we're all doing? We're thriving. We're surviving. We're doing whatever. But I guess, yeah, if we're going to do current events, we're going to talk about shit going on in the news. I guess that's the only thing going on in the news. I can't think of anything else. Maybe I just don't pay that much of attention. They don't put the news on Fortnite, okay? I'm sorry. Write your congressman. They should, honestly. Trump got arrested. No. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Trump did not get arrested. Trump got indicted, charged, went to court. Which, by the way, let me point this out. Trump got indicted, went to court, faced all these criminal charges, and then just bounced and went back to he went and did a rally, I believe, down in Florida. And then he just popped up at an MMA fight with Mike Tyson and like somebody else. I don't fucking remember. Like, nothing is going to happen. You people know this, right? Like, everybody who's like frothing at the mouth over this, like, you know that you are lying to yourself. I know that you are lying to yourself. Do you know about America? Have you been in America? Do you know how this works at all? How any of this works? how literally any of this works. Do you know, like, yes, this billionaire white man who, oh, I'm sorry, also, by the way, was fucking president, has been charged with non-violent offenses. What do you think the best case scenario? Number one, here, let's put this number one. He will not go to jail. Even if he is found guilty on all of this shit, there is absolutely no way he fucking goes to jail. It's restitution, some fucking probation slap on the wrist bullshit, pays fees, and then he's out. Even if he did go to jail, did you ever see The Wolf of Wall Street? That's where he would go, is fucking Jordan Belfort jail. It's a country club that you're not allowed to leave. Do you know how America works? Are you familiar with this place? Like, even take away the president thing. Take away the president deal. Look at those charges and still keep him moving. He's still Donald Trump, but he wasn't president. You really think, are you, do y'all put way too much faith in institutions to take down other people within the institution. Y'all are really hardline on that, and you believe in it, which is insane. It's like, no, this shit, like this system that sucks. Yeah, no, it's gonna take care of itself, man. Really? Have we all just been brain poisoned by, like, I don't know, like drugs and streaming shows? Were that, I don't know, whatever. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to burst anybody's bubble, but I'm not trying to seem like rude. I'm just being blunt. I'm being frank. Nothing is going to come of this. I really need to emphasize that for you. Absolutely nothing is going to come of this. A rich white man billionaire who was the president is not going to be led away in handcuffs to a federal prison. And this is not an original point, but let's make it here. You do know if he did go to like prison, you understand he would be king in there, right? They would fucking love him. He would rule, and he would just come out 10 times more powerful. Do you people not live in reality? You know what I mean? Sorry, I had to hydrate. All this ranting's making me thirsty. But that's it. I think that's really it as far as the news. I can't think of anything else going on. Nobody else has slapped anybody else at the Oscars. Run that shit back. Do it again. Honestly, do it again. That should happen every year. People look, the Oscar, I would be so much more into the Oscars if every single time somebody lost, they were allowed to run up and fist fight the person who won. I would tune in every day. Oh my God. I'd go watch that. I'd just replay that on YouTube all the time. That'd be great. Can you imagine if, like, I don't know, imagine Guillermo del Toro going up and trying to, like, beat the shit out of Bong Joon-ho for an Oscar. You wouldn't watch that? That would be my Super Bowl. Fuck the Super Bowl. We could start betting on that. Oh God, people would start betting on fights at the Oscars. I think Robert De Niro is going to go up there and give him a piece of his mind. Stand up for good Italian Americans. What do I know? Yeah. The Oscar slap shit. I don't know. I've made this point before. I'll probably make it again. But anytime there's shit like that happens, the narrative always goes to, and when I say shit like that happens, you know, comedians joke and somebody retaliates, somebody gets mad, you know, somebody, some heckler or whatever. Anytime something along this lines happens where it's like somebody in the audience gets mad at a comedian and comes up and like either assaults or tries to assault them, you know, there's always, you know, justifiably this conversation of, oh, are comedians safe? Like, comedians should feel safe to do what they need to do and do their jobs and say what they want to say and like blah, 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 blah. And I do think that's right. That is true. I do agree with that. You're not wrong. But also, Family Dollar cashiers get slapped every day. Like, Waffle House managers have to do hand-to-hand combat on a regular basis. I don't think you understand this, right? Like, I really, like, you see the video pop up every now and then on your, you know, TikTok video, like, oh my God, isn't that crazy? That happens every day. Now, I'm not saying that happens to, you know, the same people every single day, but shit like that happens every single day all across America. All across America. And we don't stop to have a conversation or tweet about it or anything like that. Like, those people have to clock in the next morning with a fucking smile on their face and act like nothing happened and go back to working for fucking $8 an hour. Like, seriously? I think somebody gets slapped, I think they're going to be okay. I think we're all going to be okay. Also, I don't know. It's this goal. Like, yes, nobody should ever physically assault somebody over a joke, right? Like, nobody should ever do that. That's a line. But here's the thing. We don't live in a perfect world, and we don't live in a logical world, and we don't live in a perfect world filled with perfect people and perfectly logical people. So it's going to happen. I'm sorry to tell you, it's going to. It is a risk of the trade. The gall that we have, that we think we should be able to step out onto stage every night and say anything and everything that we want to ridicule somebody. Somebody sitting in the front row and it's like, dude, I can roast you. I can say whatever you want. I want about you. Random stranger in the front row. I can say whatever heinous, terrible thing I want about you. And no, you cannot retaliate. Holy shit, I just triggered my Siri. That fucking scared me. I got my earphones in. What the fuck is my Siri doing? My Siri's talking to me. That's scary. Shut the fuck up, Siri. No, don't. Oh my God. Siri's talking to me in my headphones and it's very creepy and I don't know why. But we just have this, like, the gall to be like, yeah, I can go up on stage and say whatever I want about anybody, anything ever, and nobody will ever retaliate for it against me. Nobody will ever get like so upset that they would assault me over things I'd say. Again, nobody should assault you over things that you say, but they will. That's how the fucking world works. So, I mean, you either take it or leave it. Firefighters run into fires. They know the risk when they do it. So all I'm saying is, as a comedian, no, you shouldn't be assaulted for your jokes, but you should also go into this with the understanding that, yeah, dude, if you go far enough, it's probably going to fucking happen. Not everybody's the same. You know what I mean? And sometimes comedian, it's a lot on you. Like, you take it too far. You go straight from fucking, you're just roasting and crowd working into like straight up just demeaning a person on stage. Like, you have a microphone and you're just like actively demeaning this person in front of like possibly hundreds of people on stage. Yeah, man. Somebody might take offense to that. The wrong person. Maybe they've been drinking a little bit too bit. I mean, it's to be expected. Like, comedians are so goddamn full of themselves. That reminds me, not to be a comedy podcast that rants about comedy. But this is a good type of comedy podcast. This is one where I don't suck comedy's dick. I think that's a good way of putting it. Because almost every comedian I meet does. And they take it, it's very serious. And you should be serious about your craft. Like, I'm very serious about comedy. You know, it's my craft, it's my career, it's my dream. You know, it's all these things. So I'm very serious about it. But you also have to realize at the end of the day that you're doing comedy. And this mindset that so many of them have been poisoned by of, oh, I'm like a modern day philosopher. Like, I speak the truth to power. And it's like, no, dude, you're a fucking loser. Like, you're a comedian. You do stand-up comedy. Like, there's a reason you're not holding a football or a guitar, right? Like, just go up there and be funny. Every comedian with their head so far fucking up their ass. Yeah, there was that reminds me. There was an interview that Ashton Kutcher did. This is great. Now I'm just podcasting, talking about other interviews people did on other podcasts. This is the point that media has reached. Shut it all down. But no, there was an interview that Ashton Kutcher did on a podcast where he talked about when he did Punk'd, which, if you don't know, is a show in the 2000s where Ashton Kutcher went around pranking celebrities. And he had this rule. He was like, you know, if we prank them and then we do the big reveal and they end up being like, hey, actually, you know what? Don't air that. I'm not cool with it. I don't want you to air that. They would take the tapes right out of the camera, right there in front of them, and they would break them. And, you know, that was their agreement and they were cool with it. And he was like, the ones that were never cool with it, the ones we had to break the tapes every time and we stopped going after them because of this, was fucking comedians. Every time he was like, comedians love to make the jokes and they hate being the butt of the joke. And I think that's so fucking true. I think that's so fucking true. There was something, Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric. Absolutely. I mean, love those guys to death. He put out a stand-up special a while back, and he's not really a stand-up comedian. Like before this, he wasn't like a stand-up. He wasn't a stand-up comic, and I watched it and I love it. I think it's hilarious. I love it. It's very, Tim and Eric, Tim Heidecker shit. And I think a big part of it is like kind of satirizing stand-up comedy and stand-up comedy specials. And that was a big component of it. And I really enjoyed that because, comedians, we're not above criticism. We're not, above satire, being satirized. We're not above, ridicule and like being held accountable, all these things. But you don't see it a lot, so it's nice when somebody can bounce it back at you. Like I had a lot of fun with it, and I remember telling a couple comedians about it, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I loved it." And I loved it. A big part of it was for that reason. They got like weirdly defensive about it, and they're like, "No, man, that's not cool, and that's not whatever." It's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you truly think we comedians that we are above like being criticized and being satirized and being critiqued, and we can dish it but we can't take it? I think we're like the epitome of that. So many, again, not everybody, there's a lot of great people in comedy, but like so many of them, it's like you have to realize at a certain point what you're doing. You're doing stand-up, dude. Who gives a shit? There was this is another random thought I had the other day. Somebody, I forget what the joke was, but somebody made some joke on stage once, and I went up to him and I was like, "Hey, that whole thing that wasn't true. Like what you said up there about the certain joke. What I was like, that's not true." And they were like, "Oh yeah, way to fact check my joke, nerd." Which, understandable. I completely understand. Nobody wants to be that guy. Nobody wants to be that guy that's like, actually, that's like, I totally get that, right? Like fucking fact checking a stupid stand-up bit. However, this is where my line is with it. And you can, call me a loser for this too, whatever, but this is truly how I feel. If the joke itself is, oh, this is funny because it's true, its humor lies in its, closeness and relativity to the truth. But what you're saying isn't true, then where's the humor? How does this work? Like, it can't be like, oh, it's funny because it's true if it's not true. So that's like, what are we doing here? What is it's not true. Boom, the humor's out the window. At least for me. I mean, if you're in the know, I think that's another big thing that's kind of like killing, certain things. I think we're a lot more informed these days. I think we have a lot better answers to questions nowadays. And I think there is so much comedy that is exactly what I just described. And it relies on misinformation, and it relies on the audience being misinformed. Because if the audience is misinformed, then the joke works. But if they're not, then everybody's going to be the actually guy. Because again, it can't be funny because it's true if it's not fucking true. I think the art form is changing vastly and rapidly. And I don't think we as a whole are doing a good job to try to catch up on it. That's my personal opinion. If I sound hypercritical of it, it's because I love it. It's because I love stand-up so goddamn much. And I want it to be around, and I want to keep doing it. And I want it to, kind of like evolve and grow and advance and all this good shit. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how that shit plays out. Anyway, Donald Trump got arrested. Did we cover that? Yes, we did. Yes, we absolutely did. Because again, that's the only news going on. That's the only news going on that isn't just like Republicans screaming about trans people. It's that. It's Donald Trump getting arrested and that. And politics in this country devolving to, again, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a fucking idiot. Who am I going to sit here and try to like tell you I have all the answers to the well, it's this. Dude, I don't fucking know. I didn't even step foot on a community college campus, brother. I don't have the answers. I am not a modern day philosopher. I'm a dude who likes to tell jokes and likes attention. And that's it. That's all it should that's all you need, right? That is as simple as it should be. I like being funny. That's it. I do say that I will love that politics in this country devolving to just people screaming at each other over their memes on Twitter was completely predictable. Who would have known that shit would erode like this? Everybody, if you saw it, if you saw it coming, that's really what it comes down to. It's like we can't cause any actual material change in the world. So because of that, we've just divulged to yelling at each other. We can't actually do anything. We can't actually get anything done. So if I can't actually get anything done, I'm just going to yell at you, and that's progress. That's activism. That's politics. And that's not a left or right thing. That's everybody. That is every side. That's every single team on the field right now. All right? The whole bracket. Everybody. And you know what's another thing? Nobody, how to describe? Hold on, let me take a sip of water. Been talking for too damn long. Nobody can just like or dislike something anymore. Stick with me on this. Like, I think others have made this point before. I'm probably stealing this from somebody, but whatever. But it's true. Nobody can just be like, "Oh, I like this thing." Oh no, I just didn't like this thing. Just because you liked it or didn't like it, there has to be some big empirical reasoning behind why you liked or disliked thing, and why if you don't like this thing or you do like this thing, that actually makes you a good or bad person or blah 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 blah. Like, nobody can just look at a piece of shit movie that they had fun with and be like, yeah, I know it sucks. I know it's a piece of shit, but whatever, I like it. Nobody can say that anymore. Nobody can ever just be like, I know it sucks, but whatever, I like it. It's fun. It has to be like, no, actually, because there's like this and this and this. And it's like, dude, it's a bad movie that you liked. That's okay. The two can exist at the same time. Like there's a middle ground with this, but everything has to be this big. Everything has just devolved into how can I take this thing and how can I turn it into a way that I can yell at somebody? I think that's the point that we've reached. I think that's what culture reached. And I believe that's what Al Gore had in mind when he invented the internet. That's his dream. And now we're living his dream. Al Gore invented Audacity, which is what I and probably most of the other podcasts that you listen to record on. Al Gore invented podcasts, ladies, gentlemen, and they, thems. It's true. You don't believe me? Go look it up in a history book. Do not Google it. Go down to the library and look it up. I have to emphasize this enough. Do not Google it. Google's going to lie to you. But you know what won't lie to you? The local library. The one good branch of government. Like the one of like three things that the government actually does that's actually like so just like perfectly pure and amazing and great and such a like service to the community. One of the three that you have, like, it's always the libraries, the parks, and like the public transit. You can always count on those three. And those three people will always be the best people in the fucking world. It's like we have three examples of like, no, these are three organizations that solely exist just to be good things that contribute to society and the good of society. And they're amazing. And it's like, hey, could we just like do this more or with other places? And they're just like, no, fuck you. What are you talking? No, we can't. No. What do you mean? We can't have more than three good things. You know how this works. You either get a Subway or healthcare. You have to pick one. There's not enough in the budget. That's it. You know what blows my mind when people I live in New York, and there's people who talk about like, oh man, I mean, 100 grand in New York City, like that's not even that much. Fuck you, that's not that much. Fuck you, that's not that much. 100 grand a year in New York. I don't care, dude. So, hey, okay, you're making 100 grand a year. Sure, you're not living in a luxury high rise. Find a decently priced apartment somewhere and don't be an idiot with your money. Dude. If I had 100 grand, are you kidding me? 100K right now, and I live in New York City, I would be so set. Now, I understand there's people out there who might be like crushed by massive debt. That's kind of what another thing that comes into it. Like, I don't have any student loan debt because, again, I didn't fucking go to college. But like, yeah, 100 grand, me, 100 grand a year, dude. I am beyond set. I could afford to even be like somewhat lavish. It's like, don't be a fucking idiot with your money. Cook most of your meals. Take the subway, ride your bike. It's not that hard. People talk about that shit like that, but then I don't know, there's people who like, this is going to sound really shitty, and it might sound shitty. And again, and this doesn't apply to everybody, obviously. There's a varying amount of situations. But like, I lived in Chicago, and now I live in New York. And, these are like the two of like the three. Well, now there's four. The two of like, the only a small handful of places in America that are like actual big cities that are expensive and, that do kind of operate that certain way. And again, everybody's situation is different. I get it. It's whatever. But as somebody who grew up dirt poor, has never had any kind of like, safety net, and like went to these cities not knowing anybody. I moved to Chicago and New York, didn't know a soul, right? Well, maybe New York, I knew a couple people, but had no connections, really nothing, and just worked. And then I would see people who also moved to these cities to like do comedy and do acting and stuff. And they'd go, yeah, man, I got to move back to, wherever I'm from. I just can't afford to live here anymore, man. Like, I'm broke. And I would always just be like, dude, we're all broke. I'm fucking broke. What are you talking about, man? Like, what do you mean we're all broke? You can't afford it. None of us can afford it, man. We're all broke. What do you mean? Like, did something come up? Did something happen? It's like I don't understand. We're all fucking working shitty, damn near minimum wage jobs here, doing comedy and doing acting and everything. It's like, I mean, I don't, yeah, dude, we're all broke. So I don't know and that's another question. Again, this is going to sound shitty. Could you not afford it? Or could you not afford to live it in the way that you wanted, which to you was going out to bars and clubs and all these other things constantly all the time, which cost a shit ton of money. And there's people who was like, again, I was talking to somebody who was talking like, it was Thursday and she's like, oh, I've already spent like $3,000 this week. And I was like, what do you mean? What, how? And like $3,000 that she like doesn't have, by the way, right? Like, not a rich person. And I was like, she was like, food and all the shit and whatever. I was like, could you buy groceries? And she's like, oh, I never buy groceries. I never buy groceries. $3,000 a week, most of that on food, which, by the way, I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you're not in New York, you don't understand. I can completely understand how that could happen. But literally just cook some fucking food. Not even all of them. Just cook most of your food at home. I know for some people that's harder said than done, but I guarantee you there's ways to do it. Like, you could figure meal prep, like something. 100 grand a year in New York is not that much. Fuck you. 100 grand in New York is not that much if you want to fucking Uber everywhere, go to nice sit down dinners for every fucking meal, have everything DoorDash to you, go to expensive fucking bars and clubs and shows all the fucking time. Then yeah, 100 grand in New York isn't that much. But if you just want to live like a normal person who isn't going to blow their fucking money and just, again, make most of your food, go do cool stuff every now and then, like be a little bit lavish with it, but it's like, you can't do that though. 100 grand, yeah, that's when 100 grand isn't that much in New York. But again, I have met so many people, they can't imagine not living like that. They can't imagine like not being able to constantly go to the bars and club. It's just like, well, no, that's just like what you do. And I'm like, well, dude, if you can't afford it, then you don't do that. Right? Like that's how there's tons of shit I want to do. And I do it when I can afford it. But if I can't, then I don't. But they literally can't imagine not doing it. I think money poisons your brain. I think like seriously, I think there is science behind this. It's like if you get a certain amount of money, your fucking brain chemistry just changes. And you can't imagine like not doing that. It's like, well, I've gotten used to a certain lifestyle. We'll get fucking uncertain to it, bitch. I don't know what to tell you. I want steak too. But we both can't afford it. So that just means that both of us don't. I like, I don't know. What do I know? What am I talking about? Again, I'm an idiot. I have none of the answers. That's how this works. We're at 30 minutes. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to keep doing more of these. We'll pump these out. You know what? How about this? How about we pump these out on Monday, the day after the regular episode's released with guests and all that good shit? That sounds good. Ron fucking mumbles at midnight the day that the episode gets released and then throws it up on Monday. That's how this will work. That's good professionalism. And you know what? That right there, my friends, that is professionalism in podcasting. Y'all, if you want anything from me, including my stand-up comedy special, which is streaming for free on Tubi right now, allmylinks.com/Ron Irvin, ERVIN. Everything you could ever want from me right there. Thank you all so much for listening. Please go listen to the other regular episode from this week. Had a lot of fun. This was with Mike Almanzar, who's a super funny, also New York City comedian, also fellow bald boy. We talked about a lot of great stuff on there. So please go check that out. Until next time, I'll see you.